If you see the opportunity and it's a good opportunity, I say go for it, and you never know what you can learn throughout it.
Welcome to the Sharing Passion and Purpose podcast, a weekly podcast providing career and creative inspiration to help you build a purpose-filled life. If you're interested in tapping into your creative potential, pursuing a career with passion, and building on your biggest and best resource, yourself, please join me on this path. I'm your host, Nancy Moore, and I want you to know that I'm on this journey with you. So let's get started. Hi, everybody. I hear from so many people that they hope to write a book someday. They have an idea in them for a story that they want to get out there. And putting it on paper and getting it out into the world is a lot of work. But once the book is finished, there's even different publishing routes that you can take, including traditional, hybrid, and self-published. So if you have written a book or you are in the process of writing a book, then I want you to know who Danielle Stoltz is. Danielle is the founder of Danielle Stoltz Creative Media, and her niche is helping authors. During this visit, you're going to hear more about Danielle and her why she works with people to market their books and how she works with them. And then we also visit about her family, her background, and everything else in between. Also, I want to wish Danielle luck on her upcoming half marathon. I know she's going to do great because she is putting in the work. If you want to know where Danielle's running, you should listen to this episode because it's a fun destination run and she really chose a great place to go. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with Danielle. Okay, Danielle, I am so happy to be talking to you today.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, this is going to be a lot of fun. We actually met through one of your clients, yes. And we became connected and had coffee and got to know each other. And I'm just so amazed with everything that you have going on. And I wanted people to get to know you better, because I think you can benefit a lot of people who are listening. Yeah. I think they fall into the niche that you work with, and we're going to get to that. But first, if you would just kind of tell people a little about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I am a wife and mom of 3. I live in Oklahoma City, but born and raised in Dallas. I went to school here in Tulsa at ORU, and I think there's like some kind of underground magnet or something, because I just knew I was going to go back to Dallas and I was going to go to Cali and New York, and I had every intention of living somewhere else. And Oklahoma, about a year and a half after graduation, pulled me back, and I've been here now for like 15 years. So I love the people here, and so I think that that's what's caused me to stay. I also own my own business about 7 years ago. I didn't know what I was starting. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I now own Danielle Stoltz Creative Media, and I work with small businesses and authors and publishers to help them tell their digital story.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about ORU and kind of your trajectory as far as education and then even career.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you didn't start out of the gate just, working for yourself. So you're an entrepreneur now, but you didn't start out that way. So if you'll kind of talk about what interested you in journalism, and then it was actually even print journalism.
Yes.
And then you could kind of see a shift, and you went on to another university from there. But I'd like to find out what interested you about that.
Yeah. So my mom, for like my 10th birthday, gave me a journal, and I had, I think, 15 journals by the time that I graduated from college, and I just filled up. I love to write. Sometimes it was about myself, sometimes it was creative stories, but writing was something that I knew I loved. And then telling stories, I could just like sit there and tell you a story and give you all the little details, and I just knew I wanted to write. Mm-hmm. I started out thinking I was going to be an English major, and then I was like, no, I'm falling asleep in class, and then new mass media communications was the direction I wanted to go. And at the time, it feels like so long ago, but print journalism, I loved magazines. I loved newspaper. I thought that was the direction that I was going to go. So I studied print journalism, worked for the newspaper and the yearbook there, and just loved telling people stories. And so my first job out of college was working at a suburban newspaper outside of Dallas. I was the editor for Duncanville Today, and that sounds like it's like way out in like, you know, Duncanville, but it's like right there at Dallas city limits, right in Dallas County.
Okay.
And so worked there, and I learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes, but that was like a crash course in journalism. And a job opportunity opened up here in the Tulsa area, and soon I was working for neighbor newspapers. So got a lot of experience, and then worked for Channel 2 for a brief time. And it was actually while I was working at Channel 2 that I learned how much journalism had changed in a relatively short amount of time, that everything was online. And now where Facebook, when I was in college, was just for college students, now it was for everyone. And so I went and got my master's in new media journalism from Full Sail University, and I learned so much about video and adding that story, like how many different ways I can tell people stories. And that's what really intrigued me about the program. And and then I felt like that was what really hooked me. I wanted to tell people stories, and I love that storytelling became a big thing that people were talking about. And so went on to work a couple other opportunities. I got married and had kids, and was looking for something that was a little bit slower pace. But next thing I knew, with having 2 kids, I needed some flexibility, and realized that there was an opportunity for me to work for myself. And so I quit my full-time job and started doing social media just for anyone that was interested. And very quickly I learned a lot of people were interested and needed help. And so my business grew pretty quickly in this first few years.
How cool. I'm sure that a lot of people were interested in working with you, but you really have a niche.
Yes.
So I want you to talk about that because, of course, you want to make money, but I feel like your heart is with a certain group of people. And so I want you to kind of talk a little bit more about that.
Yes. I've always loved books, always loved writing. And so authors and publishers are a big niche for me, because I feel like, especially in 2020, a lot of authors, they were used to doing book launches. They were used to going to bookstores and promoting in person. And all of a sudden they were like, okay, I'm doing everything online. How do I do that? And they already have this amazing story. I equate it to having a baby, because they put all this time and effort into their book, and then they have the book, and then they're like, wait, there's so much more other than just celebrating that this book is here. There's still marketing, there's still the downtime in between my next book, and how do I create longevity from this book that I put so much time into, and how do I launch it well and really keep it out there. And so helping authors to be able to tell their story to their digital audience, not just that in-person audience, was something that I really connected with very quickly.
And there's such a huge need, because I feel like the self-publishing side of it has just skyrocketed.
It really
People
has.
are able to put, their information easily out there, but then it's how do people find it? How do I market it? Because they're maybe writing a book, but they don't know about how to market themselves.
Yes,
like that's a
absolutely.
totally different world. And you've married both of those together. Like you know about the writing and the marketing.
Yes, and a lot of people, the dream was to be published traditionally, where you do get a lot of marketing and publicity, and a lot of people are realizing that's not always going to happen as easily. Sometimes I do have to kind of put myself up there and build my name for myself. And even with some publishers, you think it's traditional, but it's actually more of a what I call hybrid, where they're helping you to get out, but you're getting paid, but it's not paying the bills. It's not as much as you thought. And the marketing also has to be on you. And what I've learned, that a lot of publishers are looking for consistency, they're looking for engagement, and they're looking for growth. And so they want to see those 3 things. They want to make sure that you are posting on your website and blogging normally. They want to see that there's engagement there, that people are actually interacting with your post, and they want to see that there's some growth. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have 100,000 followers, but they want to see that last month it was 100 and now it's 300, and that's what that consistency and that engagement's going to build for you. So that's what I help authors see and work with them, whether that's through coaching or just managing their social media in full.
Okay. So you provide the coaching also?
Yes.
Okay. So share what all you do provide.
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm realizing that, there's some authors that are out there that are, they want this to be a career for them. They want to write. They've got, 15 books that they've got already ready, and they just want to publish them and get them out there. And so I can do social media management, where I am looking at your work and talking to you and learning more about you and your voice, and creating content and publishing that for you, and showing stories and reels and on whatever platforms that you feel comfortable with. One of the things I'd always talk about is it's a partnership. So I had to tell your story. So we had to be doing this together, as opposed to me just taking the reins and you're like, well, that sounds good, let's just do it. It needs to be your voice. So that's the main thing that I do. But I also provide coaching, because there's some authors that are like, I just want to get this book out, it's exciting, but I'm a stay-at-home mom, or I also have a full-time job and still have other bills, so how can you help me through this? I can do some of this myself, and so I offer coaching where I walk them through a 6 to 12 week process of how they can grow their digital audience through social media, through blogging, through content on their website, and through that marketing process, which is really just putting that all together. And so and then I also offer a service where I give monthly templates. I have all the content ready to go, and all you have to do is just purchase that package, and then you've got all the content for you. It's not personalized, so you're doing some of that personalization for it through Canva and through the captions. But if you want it to just copy and paste and go for it, you've got that. And I've realized that even just sometimes copying and pasting, sometimes sharing quotes from your book, or quotes from an author that you love, or just a funny, meme or something like that. Having that consistency is better than like, I don't know what to post, and until I can afford to hire someone, I'm just going to sit on this. And so it's a lot easier for you to be able to get that consistency and engagement that I was talking about, and eventually growth when you've got something that you're sharing.
Okay. That's nice that you have different levels.
Yes.
Because that helps with people, because they're probably not making much from their book, but the catch is they need to market it,
Absolutely.
To start making money.
Yes.
So it's like you got to spend money to make money.
Exactly. So let's start at square one, and then eventually we can get to that full package if that's where you want to go. But I want to make sure that there's something for everyone. And that's what I've kind of realized over the last few years, is that there's different people that have different budgets and different passions, and I want to make sure I'm being able to meet all of those.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. So now you have so many things going on. And I told you before we started recording, selfishly, a lot of these questions, I'm curious about. And so I'm just wondering, how do you organize your time between all of these different clients that you're helping and, all of the projects that you have going on? How do you do that?
I will say that it's a work in progress. I have had days where I have not done well, and I have felt like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm doing too much. I feel like the best thing that I have done is I have a great group of friends and that are also business owners, and it's kind of a mastermind that we have together, and we're able to bounce ideas off of one another and talk through our problems. And that's probably where I've seen the most success in a lot of the things that I've launched, because I've sat down and been like, you know what, I have 3 kids that are in school, and I dropped the last one off at 9:30, and I picked the first one up at 2:30, and so I have a limited time sometimes to be able to do my work. How do I focus? And so working that through and planning out my day and time blocking has been a really big one.
That's big for me. That's exactly what I do. Time block. I love it.
It's so good, because there's only an hour a day that I focus on my text messages and my emails, and that's toward the end of the day. And sometimes I felt like starting out my day with doing all these emails, I was like, okay, I've got a bigger to-do list that I'm ready for, so I will start out early in the morning. I look at emails so I can plan my day. But when I'm looking at that time where my kids are not in school, that's not for email, that's for doing the deep work. And so sometimes it doesn't always align, and it's not always perfect, and there are distractions, and there are sick kids, but I think that having a team of people that you can talk to that understand where you're coming from, that are in that same season of life, that are have that same entrepreneurial spirit, has been so huge for me, and helped me to give myself grace on those days where I don't feel like I'm killing it, and then really helped me to replicate those days that this was a great day, I did awesome, I want to keep this going, what worked, what didn't work. So that's been really big for me.
So I'm just curious if you could maybe share a tip on how to find a group like that. There's a lot of people who don't have anywhere that they're connected or plugged in. And so if you could maybe share, how you found a few people, a group, that kind of thing. A little about that, that'd be great.
So for me, I found my people through a co-working space. Even though I have my own office at home, I realized that I'm an extrovert. So sometimes I found myself wanting to go to a coffee shop and kind of like, looking and like hearing people's conversations. And I was like, this is creepy. I need to find a place where I can actually do this. And so it took me a little bit, but I found a co-working space where there were just women that really were passionate about what they were doing, and being able to have that energy and that synergy of other business owners was just like a game changer for me. And so that's where I found that group. I also feel like I have found people through Facebook groups. There's so many different groups out there for, you go through a webinar or someone's offering a course, and next thing you know, you connect with people and realize they're also in Oklahoma or they're in Texas or they're nearby. And that's helped me to find other people, even if it's just, we're messaging on Instagram or emailing, still being able to learn from other people that have been in those same predicaments that I've been. I think that that's so huge. And so I think that a lot of it, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, can feel lonely because not everyone can relate. And so it's finding, like, it takes some intentionality, it takes some time, but just continue to seek those people that can give you that advice. Because if you're doing it on your own, you're going to make mistakes and not even realize they're mistakes until, it's too late. So it's just great to learn from other people and get those ideas, and that's where that growth has come from.
Okay. I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that there are people looking to connect, and so how you did it might be the way, that might be a good method for them. So
I hope so.
So you mentioned maybe a downfall of entrepreneurship. It can be lonely and isolating. What do you enjoy about entrepreneurship?
I love that I can build my own day. I love that if my kids have a performance at school, that I can stop my day and I don't have to tell someone that, I'm taking a lunch break and I'll be back as soon as possible. I love the flexibility of it. I love that I'm building something for not just myself, but for my children, and being able to keep my why in front of me is what drives me. And so when I realize, like, why I'm doing this is not just so I can make money, but I'm doing this because I'm passionate about working with small business owners and authors. I'm passionate about the work that I'm doing. I feel that I have an expertise that I'm being able to give, and I can create what that looks like. If I was doing social media management for a company and I'm like, I want to start the template service, and they're like, that's not what we're doing right now. That's not a part of the vision. I couldn't pursue that. And so I love that I can pursue what works for me in the seasons that I've been in. I launched my business not really knowing it was a business when I was expecting my second. And so I've done this with babies and toddlers at home. And the fact that I can still pursue my dreams and the things that I'm passionate about, but I'm also passionate about my kids, has been probably the biggest benefit of what I do. That I didn't have to choose being a good mom or a good business owner. I could do both. And that's been a huge benefit for me to be able to do both. And do both well, I think.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I want to say you put in the time.
Yeah.
Because, going through and getting your education, going on and getting another degree, to learn, and then working different places and learning, it was kind of a hard knocks type of deal. But, that you're bringing all of that with you to the business that you're starting. Because I'll tell my students at TCC, don't out of the gate from here try to open your own business. Work places, and learn. And kind of you get that education and somebody's paying you.
Absolutely.
And if you want to start on the side, your whole thing as a side hustle or something. But yeah, you put in the time, and it's funny how it's almost, I don't know, would it be an accident that you started the business?
It was.
It was?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was expecting my second and just trying to figure out daycare and all those things and working full time. And I got on Fiverr and Thumbtack, and I was like, I'm just going to do social media. And actually what was really making me a lot of money was resumes. Like, I was doing resumes left and right, and I probably was doing like 10 a week at that time. And so I was like, I'm just going to do resumes, and I'm just going to, at least throughout the pregnancy, and I'll figure out what goes next. And so I had someone reach out to me, and they're like, I heard that you do social media. And I was like, yeah, I did a little bit of social media for my past few jobs, and but I did other things. It was communications in general, and they were like, well, can you do social media for me, because I have no idea what's going on. And I realized that was the conversation I was having over and over, and next thing I knew, I looked up, and that's kind of why I had to niche down, because I didn't really know who I was doing social media for. I had real estate over here, and I had construction, and I had a dentist, and I was like, I don't even know where I'm going, and what's good for this industry isn't always great for the other. So that's where I started realizing I had an author that I worked with, and she loved working with me, and then she recommended me to her publisher, and it was kind of a snowball effect from there. So it did kind of start by accident, but I learned through connecting with other business owners that even if there's a snowball effect going on over here, you've got to pull things in and make sure that you're taking control of your business and not just kind of going wherever it takes you. So I was able to pull it in, rein it in, and be able to establish what I wanted my business to look like. But it took a couple years.
Well, I definitely feel like you have a mission.
Yeah.
Like you've drilled down to where you know exactly who you cater to.
Yes.
And there could be an oddball thing here or there, a one-off, because just, of who you know or who you're referred to. But I feel like you stay true to that business, that specific niche.
I had a professor that she told me not to be afraid to take opportunities. That's what she just told me all throughout. I was like I think it was just between the yearbook and the newspaper and trying to figure out which one I wanted to do my senior year. And she said, don't be afraid to say yes. And I know that can be a little bit dangerous, but that was one of the things that I felt really insecure at the beginning of my career, is that I kind of switched, and I was willing to switch jobs if it was a really good opportunity. And I felt that peace that I needed to move forward with it. And I can keep listening to that. I obviously don't want to, be just bringing back and forth between different concepts. But I think that is probably the best advice that I received throughout my career, because I wasn't afraid to take on little jobs. I mean, there was one time when we had the WNBA team here in Tulsa for a short while, and I did the social media for them for a little bit. And it was like, it didn't pay much, but it was a great opportunity for me to learn and to see what something on that level, a business on that level was doing, and to learn and grow for that season. And I think that that's just really important, that when you have those opportunities or you see an opportunity to grow, think there's some learning opportunity and just everything. And so really weighing that, there's obviously things that you need to say no to. There's your family and time, and there's always different factors. But if you see the opportunity and it's a good opportunity, I say go for it, and you never know what you can learn throughout it.
God, that is such good advice. I love that. Okay. Okay, let me look and see what else. Okay. So I am big on creating goals and doing a vision board. And this month I'm kind of going through all that right now, because my business is shifting a little bit, and I'm starting to do some live events. And so I'm shifting a little bit.
I love vision boards. I'm glad that you
okay. So I was going to ask you if you do a vision board and create goals, and when you do that kind of stuff. For me, it's just naturally like January 1st. But is that the same for you? Do you like it, utilize it? How has it helped?
I love it. I actually, the same co-working space, if you're in the Edmond area, the Collective is a women's co-working space.
I want to get over there.
Oh, it's amazing. I'll just sing its praises all day.
Okay.
Mandy Briggs is the owner there, and she's also a life coach, and she has a vision board workshop that she does every year. I just did my 4th one with her, and I absolutely love the idea of vision boards. I think at the very minimum, you are starting out the year with intention, and you are seeing, this is what I want this to be. This is what I want this year to look like for myself. And I do a little journaling beforehand going into the vision board workshop, and thinking, what was the last year like for me? What did I love? What worked? What's in? What's out? I love that people shared that this year. I felt like that was a great trend, because you need to know what worked and what didn't. And you need to throw out what didn't work or adjust what didn't work. And so that's a big question that I ask myself. And then I'm looking for inspiration all around, not just magazines, but if it's something that I see online, I will screenshot it and print it out. And I keep it in a place where I'll see it every day, whether that's my office while I'm working, or even one year I had it in my closet, so that as I'm getting ready, I can see that. And it's like helping me to set expectation for the day, that it's not just I'm going about my day and whatever comes my way is what happens. I'm looking at my day and I'm saying, I want to go for it with confidence. And I'm training for a half marathon this year.
Are you?
Yes.
Cool.
And
Love that.
oh my gosh. And so I have to like remember, I wake up in the morning and I see those running shoes that I cut out, and I'm like, I got to make sure I get my run in today. Don't get tired. Don't sleep in. Let's go ahead and do this run. And just little things like that, I feel help me to think of what the overall goal is at the end of the day. And so not just thinking about day by day, but what do I want the end of 2024 to look like for myself? So I love goals, love saying goals. And I think that it's just important to keep those in front of you so that it doesn't end up being December and you're like, I forgot I wanted to do that marathon. I forgot I wanted to start running a little bit more this year. I was going to, write a book this year. Every day you're doing a little bit something to get towards that goal that you set up for the year.
I love that because time passes so quickly.
It does.
And it can be the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the year, and then where are you?
Exactly.
So I also do a vision board. I am looking at it all the time, but it correlates with my goals also,
absolutely.
in what I'm
It's not just like random. I'm like, I like coffee and I like flowers, so
Yeah.
I've got those on there. Yeah. I love that.
So, and there might be, I know there's flowers on my vision board, but I don't, anyway, but yes,
it's not just pretty. Yes,
yeah.
I have coffee and
yes,
but it's also like those are my reminders to relax and to invest on things that I enjoy.
Yes,
and not everything has to be like work minded. But I mean, I think it's just important that every picture, every word, whatever it is, has meaning to you. That you'll see it in March or June or September, and it still resonates with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So you mentioned the half marathon, which I'm very excited for you. Yes, that's a big step.
Yes.
And that's a big time commitment, especially with all that you have going on and 3 kids and all of that. So I can't wait to kind of follow on your journey.
Yes.
And when is that going to be, by the way?
It's in February, the end of February.
Oh, okay.
So it's coming up,
okay.
And I am doing it at Disney World. So I think
cool.
that at the very least, I will be able to, feel like I was at Disney and I was running through Magic Kingdom and Epcot. So,
that's
a win.
the way to do it. Okay. So good for you. Might as well go for it.
Exactly.
If you're going to do that. That's awesome. So you mentioned that, but my theme for this season is grow more in 2024. And so I would like to find out from you how else you're going to grow either personally or professionally this next year.
Yeah. So I think that personally and professional go so hand in hand. A lot of times I want to separate the two, and I am realizing like it's not a weakness to say I have to go pick up my son from daycare, or I have to, take a sick day. And so one of the big ways that I'm growing this year is to make sure that I'm not trying to compartmentalize those two, that who I am is personal and professional. And as a business owner, that sometimes doesn't feel like you're supposed to, that clients don't care sometimes about all those things, but it's still one of the things that I have to care about and I have to keep at the forefront. And then one of the other mindsets that I'm trying to shift and grow in is thinking less like a business owner and more like a CEO. As I own my own business and being comfortable with that, I think that you see founder and CEO of, a big company and you feel like, oh yeah, of course they are. But when you're a one person solopreneur, or you only have, 2 or 3 contract workers, sometimes it's hard for you to see yourself as a CEO. But when you have big dreams for the future, when you have that vision board, when you have that vision and that goal, it's, for me, it's really important for me to keep telling myself I'm CEO. I'm CEO of Danielle Stoltz Creative Media, and it helps you to move forward with a lot more confidence in your business and what you're doing and your goals. And so that's just a really big one for me this year.
Okay, I love that mindset.
Yeah,
and that perspective. So that's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me.
This is so much fun.
It's been so much fun. So I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to sharing this information with everybody. I'm going to link your information in my show notes so everybody can find you and they can connect with you. So thanks again. Okay, everybody, that's a wrap on this week's episode. I want to thank you for listening to the Sharing Passion and Purpose podcast. It means the world to me, and I'd love to connect with you. Please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Sharing Passion and Purpose, and Twitter at Passion Sharing. Also, if you like this podcast, it would mean a lot to me for you to subscribe, rate, and review it. And as always, all my show notes will be available on my website, sharingpassionandpurpose.com.